Right now, at this exact moment, there are people in your city, in your street, possibly in your own house, who are drowning in debt. Not because they lost their job. Not because of a medical emergency. Not because something terrible and unexpected happened to them. They are drowning in debt because of decisions they made on purpose. And the most terrifying part? They don't know they made those decisions on purpose. They think debt happened to them. They think they are victims of circumstance. They think next month will be different. They think they just need one more raise, one more break, one more chance, and then they will finally get out. They won't. Not until they understand what I am about to tell you today. Because debt, real, chronic, suffocating debt, is not primarily a financial problem. It is a psychological one. And if you treat a psychological disease with a financial cure, you will fail every single time. I am going to show you today exactly how the mind traps people in debt, sometimes for life. I am going to name the mechanisms, expose the systems, and give you the keys to escape before this thing swallows you whole. Because it will swallow you whole. If you let it. This is not a drill. Let's go.
Before we get into the psychology, I need you to understand the size of what we are talking about, because most people casually assume that debt is a personal problem, a private struggle. It is not. It is a global epidemic. Global household debt currently sits at over $59 trillion. That number is so large it has lost meaning. So let me give it meaning. If you stack $59 trillion in dollar bills, the pile would reach from the earth to the sun and back, over 200 times. In the United States, the average household carries over $100,000 in debt. In the UK, personal debt exceeds £2 trillion. Across Africa, a continent of young, working people, mobile lending platforms have exploded, and with them, a generation of borrowers trapped in high-interest cycles they barely understand. In Nigeria, your home, my home, is not exempt. The rise of apps like Fair Money, Branch Carbon, Palm Credit has made borrowing easier than ever. A loan in 5 minutes, in the middle of the night, with no human being to ask you, are you sure? The debt is everywhere. It is normalized. And normalization is the first psychological trap. When everyone around you owes money, debt stops feeling dangerous. It starts feeling like just the way life works. And that feeling, that quiet, comfortable acceptance, is the first thing that will destroy you. Here is the first mechanism, and it is operating in your brain right now, whether you know it or not. It is called temporal discounting, and it is the reason the human brain is fundamentally, biologically terrible at managing debt. Here is what it means. When your brain evaluates a decision, it does not treat the present and the future as equal. The present feels vivid, real, and urgent. The future feels abstract, distant, and negotiable. So when you're standing at the point of purchase, that new phone, that outfit, that experience, the pleasure of getting it now feels enormous, immediate, undeniable, but the pain of paying for it later feels small, theoretical, like a problem for a future version of you that doesn't really exist yet. And so you spend, and you borrow, and you tell yourself you'll sort it out later. But later comes, and future you is just as human as present you, just as prone to the same discounting. Future you also prefers pleasure now over pain now. So future you also defers. This is how a person borrows 50,000 Nigerian nairas to get through the month and is still paying it back 2 years later. Not because they are irresponsible, because their brain was doing exactly what it was designed to do. It was protecting present comfort at the expense of future stability. The credit industry understands this better than you do. That is why every loan advertisement in the world focuses on what you can have right now, never on what it will cost you in total. They are feeding your temporal discounting. Deliberately, the fine print that tells you the true cost of the loan, it is small, put at the bottom, in language designed to be skipped, because they know your brain doesn't want to read it, and they built the product around that knowledge. Here is something that should genuinely disturb you. Research in consumer psychology has found that after a person has been in debt for more than 18 months, something shifts in their psychology. Debt stops being a situation they are in and starts becoming a part of who they are. They begin to identify as a debtor. And identity is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. We do not easily act against our own identity. If you believe on a deep subconscious level that you are the kind of person who always owes money, You will unconsciously make decisions that confirm that belief. You will find reasons to borrow again, even when you don't have to. You will self-sabotage the moments when escape is close. Psychologists call this identity-consistent behavior. You act in ways that match your self-concept, even when that self-concept is destroying you. This is why you will find people who receive a windfall, a bonus, a gift, an inheritance, and within months, they are back in debt. From the outside, it looks like bad luck or poor planning. From the inside, it was the unconscious mind returning to what felt familiar, to what felt like home. Debt became their comfort zone. And comfort zones are terrifying precisely because they don't feel uncomfortable. They feel safe, normal, like just the way things are. If you have been in debt for years, I need you to hear this clearly. The biggest battle you are fighting is not with your bank. It is with your own self-image. Until you destroy the identity of the debtor inside you, no repayment plan will hold. This next trap is the cruelest one because it uses your own fear against you. Here is what happens to most people when their debt becomes serious. They feel anxiety, real physical, chest-tightening anxiety. The kind that wakes you up at 3 a.m. The kind that makes your stomach drop when your phone rings and you don't recognize the number. The kind that sits on your shoulders every morning when you check your account balance. That anxiety is appropriate. That anxiety is your body screaming at you. This is not okay. This needs to change. But here is what most people do with that anxiety. They avoid it. They stop opening their bank statements. They stop checking the total amount owed. They put the loan reminder notifications on silent. They don't talk about it. They don't add up the numbers. Because looking at the numbers makes the anxiety unbearable. And here's the brutal irony. Avoidance makes debt grow. Interest compounds whether you are watching or not. Missed payments trigger penalties whether you acknowledge the notification or not. The debt does not respect your emotional state. It does not pause because you are too stressed to deal with it. While you look away, it grows. While you avoid, it multiplies. And when you finally are forced to look, by a court summons, a frozen account, a final notice, the number is so much worse than it would have been if you had faced it 6 months earlier. Avoidance is not rest. Avoidance is acceleration. Financial therapist Barry Tesler describes this as a money fog, a deliberate psychological blurring of financial reality as a coping mechanism. It feels protective in the moment. It is catastrophic over time. And the debt industry loves a money fog. Loves it. Because a borrower who isn't paying attention is a borrower who keeps accumulating charges, late fees, and rollover interest, all of which are pure profit. Your avoidance is their business model. We need to have an honest conversation about why many people borrow money in the first place. It is not always because they cannot afford necessities. Research consistently shows that a significant portion of consumer debt, credit card debt especially, is generated by what psychologists call emotional spending, buying as a response to emotional states. Stress, loneliness, boredom, frustration, low self-esteem, the need to feel in control when life feels out of control. The technical term is retail therapy, but there is nothing therapeutic about it. It is a coping mechanism that creates a new crisis to escape the original one. Think about what happens in the body when life feels heavy, when work is overwhelming, when a relationship is painful, when you feel stuck, small or invisible. The brain, desperate for relief, seeks dopamine. And in our world, dopamine is just one click away, one tap, one card swipe. The purchase feels like control. It feels like self-care. I deserve this. I work hard. This is one good thing in a difficult time. And for a brief, fleeting moment, it works. The dopamine arrives. The anxiety lifts slightly. You feel better. Then the bill comes. And now you have two problems instead of one. The original emotional wound that triggered the spending, still open because buying things does not heal wounds, and now a financial wound on top of it. This is the debt spiral that is almost impossible to break without addressing the emotional root. Because every time life gets hard, and life always gets hard, the pattern fires again. Stress, spend, temporary relief. Debt, more stress, spend again. Round and round. Deeper and deeper. If you recognize this cycle in yourself, this is not a moment for shame. This is a moment for radical honesty. Because you cannot fix what you will not name. The question is not just how do I pay off this debt? The question is, what pain am I borrowing money to avoid feeling? Answer that question, and you cut the cycle at its root, the last trap, and it is the most seductive of all. Psychologists call it optimism bias. Our tendency to believe that our future will be better than our present in ways we cannot actually justify with evidence. In the context of debt, it sounds like this: I'll pay it off when I get that promotion. Things will be different next quarter. Once I get this one situation sorted, I'll focus on the debt. I'll start being serious about money from January. Sound familiar? Optimism bias is not stupidity. It is a fundamental feature of the human brain. Researchers believe it exists to give us the motivation to keep going in difficult circumstances. Without it, we would be paralyzed by a realistic assessment of life's uncertainties. But in finance, it is devastating, because the promotion doesn't always come. The situation doesn't always resolve. January arrives and brings new problems with it. And meanwhile, the debt, fueled by compound interest, has continued to grow with precision and consistency that your optimism never accounted for. Compound interest does not have optimism bias. It does not hope. It does not assume things will improve. It simply compounds, relentlessly, mechanically, indifferently, at whatever rate was written in the contract you signed while imagining a better future. Here is a number that should make your blood run cold. A 100,000 Nigerian Nairas loan at 20% monthly interest, which is not unusual on many Nigerian lending apps, becomes 240,000 Nigerian Nairas in 6 months if you only make minimum payments. In 1 year, it approaches 500,000 Nigerian Nairas. The debt nearly quintuples in 12 months. While you were optimistic, the math was brutal. I have shown you the traps. Now I'm going to show you the exit. And I need you to hear this not as a list of tips, but as a survival guide. Because for some of you watching this right now, that is exactly what it is. Step 1. Face the full number. Today, right now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, open every statement, add every debt, write the total on a piece of paper, and look at it. This is the hardest step and the most important one. The fog protects the debt. Clarity is the beginning of freedom. You cannot fight what you refuse to see. Step 2. Separate your identity from your debt. Say this out loud. I have debt. I am not debt. Your financial situation is a temporary condition, not a permanent identity. The moment you stop being a debtor and start being a person solving a problem, your decision-making changes completely. Debtors borrow more. Problem solvers build plans. Step 3. Find an emotional trigger and face it. If your debt is tied to emotional spending, the numbers alone will not save you. You must identify what you are spending to avoid feeling. Write it down. Speak it to someone you trust. If necessary, and for many people it is necessary, speak to a counselor or therapist. Unexamined emotional wounds are the most expensive things most people own. Step 4. Destroy the optimism. Replace it with a system. Stop waiting for a better future to solve your present problem. Your future self has the same psychology you have today, the same biases, the same tendencies, the same temptations. Do not trust your future self with tasks your present self is already avoiding. Build a repayment system now. Automate it if possible. Remove the decision from your hands entirely. Step 5. Cut the supply line. Whatever lending app, credit card, or borrowing channel is most dangerous to you, remove it. Delete the app, cut up the card, remove the friction from saving, and add it back to borrowing. Every moment of difficulty between you and a loan is a moment your better judgment can intervene. Step 6. Tell someone. Debt survives in secrecy. The shame of it, the silence around it, is part of what makes it so powerful. Tell one trusted person your real financial situation. Not for pity, for accountability, for the shift in your own psychology that comes from making invisible visible. Shame shrinks when it is spoken. Debt loses power when it is named. I want to leave you with this. The systems around you, the lenders, the apps, the advertisers, they have spent billions of naira and dollars studying your psychology. They know about temporal discounting. They know about the money fog. They know about optimism bias. They built their entire business models around your blind spots. They are counting on you to stay asleep. Every day you do not confront your debt, they win. Every month the minimum payment goes out while the principal barely moves, they win. Every time you tell yourself, I'll deal with it later, they have already factored that response into their revenue projections. You are not their customer. You are their product. But you do not have to be. The exit exists. It is hard. It is uncomfortable. It requires you to look at things you have been trained to avoid. But it is there, and it is available to you right now, today, with the information you have in this video. The question is not whether you can get out. The question is whether you are finally angry enough, scared enough, and awake enough to start. I hope this video made you all three. Share this with someone who needs to wake up. Leave a comment. Tell me which of these 5 traps hit closest to home. And subscribe to Global Village Wealth Habits, because this channel exists for one reason only, to make sure that you and the people you love win with money. I will see you in the next one, and I hope I see you debt-free.